Hi everyone, this is Pranav with another Swift video. Today we're going to be taking a look at how to create cards in SwiftUI. What do I mean by cards? Well, let me show you. Here's an emulator I have right here running an iPhone 11. And this is the app that we're going to build. And this is basically what I mean by cards. I know it's pretty slow here, but basically there are these card-like UI that you can easily move around using a pan gesture. And you have multiple of them below below each other. So if you just swipe this one out, you have this other one. You can keep swiping them off, and that's basically the gist of it. The gist, I guess. So let's get started. I'm gonna create a new Xcode project. I'm gonna select single view application. Here my product name is gonna be cards. You can choose whatever you would like it to be. Our user interface is going to be SwiftUI, and I'm just going to leave these options unchecked. You can choose wherever you want to store this application. I'm just going to store it in my documents folder. Now, let's get started. Let's get started by creating a person view. What is this person view? Well, that's basically the card view that you saw there. You can call it whatever you would like again, but I'm just going to call it person view. You can create this in a new file, but just for ease, I'm going to do it in this file. So here we have our struct, and we're defining it very similarly to this content view. And of course we need our protocol stubs, which is just going to be body and some view, just like the content view. And that's about it. And here we need actual content. Let's create a vstack with an alignment of dot leading. And inside this we're going to put an image. And for this, I need some assets, as you saw with that example. I have these assets right here, and I'm going to link these down below if you would like the same assets, but you can basically use any images. So we have these. Boom, those are our assets. These are all from Unsplash, and then this one's just an avatar that I created using Memoji. Here, let's declare some variables so we can use those when we create an instance of this person view. I'm going to create one called name, which is just going to be empty, and another one for their role. And I mean, this is just because we're creating this sort of card view, but it can be any description or a subtitle, whatever you'd like it to be. Or you don't even need multiple text fields. I'm just creating this for now. And the last one is going to be the image. So I'm creating this card view with the image on top. But of course you can design your card view whichever way you would like it to be. Now we have this image. We also need some modifiers on it. I'm going to make it resizable and scaled to fit. So we need it to fit within that card view. And we're also going to create a clip shape because it looks way cooler if it's a circle, alright? Now after this, we also need some text. Let's add some space and do text with the name. And I'm going to make this font with title. And also make the foreground color dot white, so it stands out with the green background. Let's create another text, this time for the role or whatever other subtitle and any other text you want in it. I'm gonna make this one with a font of body. Like I said before, you can design this in whichever way you would like it to be. This is just my thoughts. Now we have that done. I'm also gonna add some padding on the whole VStack. Now let's start editing our content view. First off, we need something called an offset, so this can actually be usable. Here I'm just going to create an @state variable because that way it can be referenced within our views. And I'm going to just keep it private because that's just a common method to do. And then I'm going to call it offset, and you're going to set this to a CG size. So this offset is basically going to be used just as for positioning. And whenever you're going to be dragging your card around, you need this offset to be changed, and that's why we're declaring it as state as well. Now let's start editing our body. I'm gonna create a navigation view, and let's set that navigation bar title to be cards. Now inside of this navigation view, I'm gonna create a Z stack, which is gonna hold all of our elements. Now let's create our first person view here. We're gonna set the name to be let's just set my name for now, or you can, yeah. And we're gonna set the role to be developer, and we're gonna set the image, and I already have that image right here for my avatar, which is me, so we're just gonna be using that one, me. Now let's set some modifiers on this person view. We can set a cool background color, which is completely optional, and set a nice corner radius. Let's set a shadow as well. These are all just cool UI effects, which are all completely customizable and unnecessary, but they make the experience a lot better. Let's add some padding, of course, and now is the part with the offset. So this basically changes the position, and we're just gonna set this to offset.width, and offset.height. Change the indentation. So basically we're going to be modifying this offset variable using a gesture, a drag gesture, and this basically changes that position of this person view live as the variable changes. Next is our actual gesture. We're just going to do dot gesture. That's not it. And do some curly braces. Make sure the indentation's right. Now inside of this, we're going to create a drag gesture. Here we have our modifiers for this gesture. We're going to have an onChanged, and we don't actually need these parentheses. Here we're going to make the onChanged basically change the offset to $0.translation, and also create another one called onEnded. So basically, so far what we've done is create this drag gesture, and we're doing onChanged, which is a modifier which basically detects when the drag gesture has been used and the value has changed. So we're basically changing the offset variable based on where the user has moved the card. Now this onEnded is used to actually like remove the card from the scene. So we're basically checking if the width is less than -100 or greater than 100, which means you're basically swiping it out of the way. And here we're just going to do self.offset equals .init. Let me just actually full screen the Xcode window and move these things out of the way so we have a bit more space to work with. So what we've done here is check if, what is this for? Alright, so this should actually not be a curly brace and instead go that way. Let's just check for when this, let's just switch that. Now that looks a lot better. And let's create another else if condition and check if it's been swiped too far to the right. You add the curly braces. Now we're gonna set the width to way further in the distance to the right and the height to 0. So what we're doing here is checking if the user has swiped the card pretty far to the left, then we're just taking the whole card out of the scene with this line. And here we're checking if they moved it very far to the right, and we're just checking it out of the scene again. And we're just gonna add another else, and here we're just gonna set the offset to 0. So here it's been reset to the original position if it hasn't moved that far away from the original position. And now out of this gesture part, we're just going to add an animation as our last modifier, and we're going to set it to .spring. Now that's our code done. Let's resume the view. Resume the preview. Here we have it running right here. Let's just click the play button to see the actual working view. Still loading. And there it is. Now we're able to clearly, fluidly move this card around. And if we swipe too far, it just exits the screen. Now, if you wanted that view from before, where it would have multiple stacked on, that's why we have the Z stack right here. If you wanted another one right above this, you can just copy this, or write the whole code again, and just put one on top. Now, we clearly have, here's another note though. For each card that you define, you need a new offset variable. Otherwise, both cards would move with the same gesture. Thus, we can create another variable known as offset2, set it to the same width and height. Now let's just change this new card to let's say Bob Green. I don't know. Let's say his job is technician, and we're gonna change his image to 01. Now let's just change the color to just change things up. Now we just have to replace all instances of offset with offset 2 on this new card. Now it makes sure that dragging this card only moves this card, and dragging this card only moves this card. If that makes any sense. Now let's just resume the preview. And let's run our code again. Run our simulator again. And now we have 2 cards. That's about it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe if you like the content, and be sure to like this video as well. If you want to be notified when I release a new video, make sure to hit the bell icon. Thank you.